like this. My second brother, who was hiding under the cot, came out crying and went towards my father. At this point, the Biharis started shouting, "Mil gaya, mil gaya! Found one, found one!" They then stabbed my brother several times. He collapsed. My mother was stabbed with a bayonet inside. She was crying out aloud and kept saying, "Kill me, but not my sons inside the house." They didn't listen to her. They dragged her all the way out here and buried her alive here in this cowshed.
For more on the effects of Bangladesh's War of Liberation in 1971, we're joined by Sharia Kabir, journalist and author, Sultana Kamal, human rights activist, and Professor Mahbubullah from the University of Dhaka. Sultana, we've heard about the atrocities, we've seen the stories, we know the extent of the violence that happened in what was then known as East Pakistan and is now Bangladesh. Why do you think no one has been held accountable?
You have to go back to the way history took different turns in Bangladesh, because when we became independent, we had the constitution in 1972 and we were just getting settled at that point of time. And within a period of 3.5 years, the leader of the nation, the father of the nation, the first elected president, was killed by a group of army officers, and the whole country took a different turn altogether, because you'll notice then the constitution was changed and these people actually looked for different defenses for themselves. One was moral, the other was legal. The legal was the Indemnity Act that they passed later in the parliament, and the moral defense was that they had to do it because they wanted to prevent Sheikh Mujib from selling Bangladesh out to India, and Bangladesh was becoming Hindu dominated and Hindu influenced, so they had to actually go for Islam or Islamization of the country, and that is why they wanted the support of the war criminals who were basically members of the Islamic Party in 1971.
Sharia, is this where we're seeing the rise of Islamic fundamentalism in Bangladesh, because they have infiltrated into the governments?
Definitely. In fact, you know, during this liberation war, you know, Jamaat-e-Islami, Muslim League, Nizam-e-Islami, this Islamist party, they committed genocide in the name of Islam. And that's why, you know, in our first constitution, it was a very much secular constitution, and religious-based political parties were prohibited by 72's constitution. Unfortunately, you know, after the assassination of Sheikh Saidur Rahman and the top leaders of Awami League, the pro-Islamists, they grabbed the power and they changed the constitution, they amended the constitution, and they allowed those Islamist political parties to reorganize.
Am I right to presume then you would not be in favor of these Islamic parties to be active in Bangladeshi political life?
Definitely not. Why we should accept them? Because they are responsible for war crimes. And most of these parties, they do not believe in democracy. Politically, theoretically, if you go there, you know, programs and if you
look at... But surely 37 years on, these political parties have been set up by Bangladeshis themselves, and they have shaped the country. And if you want to talk about democracy, surely any political party must have a voice in a democratic process.
Unfortunately, these parties, they never accepted the concept of Bangladesh. As I said that Bangladesh was created for a secular democratic country. They never accepted secular democracy in Bangladesh. On the contrary, they always, you know, tried to convert Bangladesh into a monolithic Islamic country like Pakistan. 3 million people sacrificed their life for secular democracy. We do not want to see their lives will go to vain. On the contrary, those who are responsible for genocide, for war crimes, or committing crimes against humanity, those who are anti-democracy, they shouldn't have any political rights in Bangladesh.
Professor, do you agree that there is a need for war crimes tribunal to be set up in order to try these alleged war criminals?
He has said that, you know, the war of independence or the war of liberation took place on the basis of secular ideals. I think this is a falsification of history, number one. Because in 1970, when the election took place and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman got overwhelming mandate from the people of East Pakistan, and the electoral manifesto of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman didn't have any program whatsoever promising secularism. Rather, he promised to the people that no law shall be enacted against the repugnant to the spirit of Quran and Sunnah, and that's how actually he neutralized the pro-Islamic forces.
Well, there are 2 points here. One, that Sheikh Mujib, when he won the election, he was the leader of Awami League, and Awami League had a different election manifesto. And the idea of secularism actually developed and was established through the Liberation War. And that was the people's aspiration, that we will have a country where no discrimination will be made on the basis of religion. Okay, and that is when secularism came in.
You say that parties should not be discriminated because of their religion.
I'll come
Shouldn't
back
we
to that.
then allow Jamaat Islamiyah
because Jamaat Islamiyah is not simply a religious party. They have a history, and they were against the birth of Bangladesh. And even after the birth of Bangladesh, they constantly, consistently acted against the interests of Bangladesh.
Professor, the issue of Islamic fundamentalism is tied very closely to the alleged war criminals of 1971. Do you think that a tribunal would help resolve the wounds that a lot of Bangladeshis feel?
I think this issue of Islamic fundamentalism is of a very marginal importance for Bangladesh, because Bangladeshi people, they don't accept Islam in a fundamentalist form. Basically, Bangladesh people believes in some kind of liberal Islam.
Right, so you're saying that Jamaat Islamiyah is not a threat? It's not a political threat?
Well, if you don't allow Jamaat Islam to operate openly within a democratic framework, and if they go underground and with their organizational strength, they can create a lot of problems for us.
We're just running out of time, Sultana. I want to give you the last word here. Do you see any way that Bangladesh can heal the wounds of the past and move forward?
Yes, of course, we will have to do it, and we can do it by actually trying the war criminals and actually curbing militancy and violent acts and criminal acts, whoever is perpetrating that.
That's all the time we have for this edition of 101 East. I'd like to thank Sharia, Sultana and Professor Mahbubullah from the team of 101 East from Bangladesh. We'll see you again next week.